Hello everyone and thank you for tuning into Trade Chat. My name is Panzer and today I am going to be interviewing Shanee and Paul from the Blizzard dev team. I'm super excited. We're going to be talking all about allied races and level scaling. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you do, remember to rate it thumbs up.
My name is Paul Kubit. I'm a game designer on World of Warcraft. I work on all different types of content, from quests to professions to weird stuff like Brawlers Guild and Micro Holidays and Chromie. Most recently, I worked on scaling the world for 735, making sure that everything from 1 to 100 scales with your level.
And I'm Shanee Edwards. I'm one of the producers for World of Warcraft. I mostly work with the character artists, the animators, and the riggers, but I was also the producer for Allied Races.
That's awesome. You guys are very relevant to what's going on.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us here. I really appreciate it.
Of
course. Always happy to be relevant.
Yeah, same. Same. Doesn't happen often, but it's very exciting when it does. So I've been a person who's been very much looking forward to the new scaling in 7.3.5. I love to level alts. I love reading the quests as they go along. So I was really into this. And a question that I can't seem to shake from my head is, how long do you want it to take players to reach max level now that the scaling is? Like, how long do you anticipate that? Or what's your goal of how, is it 24 hours or 48 hours? Like, what is the goal of how long it should be taking you? Those are both very low ball numbers. I am aware.
For sure, yeah. So when we're kind of putting together the game, it always starts from an approach of, let's make some really cool stories. So building a new expansion, for example, we'll build out the zones and the stories, and then afterwards, kind of late in the process, we'll look and see, okay, how much of this do we have to play through for it to make sense, for it to feel good, to get from 100 to 110, or 110 to 120, or whatever that may be. For leveling up, that's a different question, because as we continue to grow the game, we've added more and more expansions and zones to the game, and we never really expected anyone to, we don't expect everyone to have to play through every single quest in the game to get to 110, so there is a subset of that makes sense. When we're looking at that, we normally don't think about numbers. I mean, it's obviously not 10 hours and it's not 1,000 hours, but it's somewhere in the middle, but it'll be different for different players. Some players are going to want to race through to get to 110. Some people are going to go more slowly, and so on. So I guess the bounds you have are between 10 and 1,000 hours.
Oh yeah, no, totally. It makes perfect sense.
Yes, but yeah, and as far as the speed now, we think it actually feels like it's probably pretty close to what it was before 735 launched, but with more choices as to which zones you can play through, or which expansions even you want to play through as you're going from 1 to 110.
Yeah, you actually touched right on my next question, which is, do you feel like level scaling is in a good place right now? Because I know there was a minute there where things were a little concerning after the patch launched.
Right. We feel pretty good about where it's at right now. You have a lot more choices in terms of how you want to level a character. For example, you can efficiently play through entire zone storylines without having to worry about, am I getting the right amount of experience for this? Have I too far out leveled this storyline so that I really want to see how the end of the Badlands story goes, but I haven't, I've leveled past all the monsters here. That's not a problem anymore, because within that zone's band of, for the case of Badlands, 40 to 60, as long as you're within that pretty wide band, you'll be able to play through everything.
Yeah.
You still have the opportunity to choose expansion to expansion. So if you really like Kata quests over Pandaria quests, or vice versa, you can do that, or you can mix and match and play each of them. So I feel like it is in a pretty good place now.
Great. So I did a video back in 2013 about a player who was in a dungeon and accidentally triggered level scaling. They got scaled way down to, I think it was like RFC or something. But when did Blizzard actually first develop level scaling? Because I know first we had the challenge modes that came out in Warlords of Draenor, and then there was time walking, and then we've kind of seen these slow implementations of things coming out. When did you guys actually start developing it, though?
So there's a couple of different implementations of level scaling that you see in the game now. The first that we started actually having it happen to players was in time walking, when the time walking dungeons first came out, and I guess challenge mode is a type of scaling as well, but that was gear level scaling, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Anyhow, yes, so we started working on scaling with, I think 6.2.3 is when time walking came out. I don't actually remember the patch, but somewhere in there. And then obviously with Legion, we actually had the other type of scaling, which you're seeing now in the world, which is instead of taking the player's level and squashing them down to 70, like we do for, say, Burning Crusade Time Walking, the player keeps their level, but the monsters will kind of match your level. We did that for Legion Zones, and that was really, in some ways, a test bed for, does this work for this expansion, and is that something that we could maybe do for the whole game? And it worked well enough in the Legion Zones, as in Volshara, so on, that we were able to bring it back to the rest of the world.
Yeah, as a player, I remember being really surprised when the Legion invasions came out in late Warlords, and they worked so well. Like, I don't think anybody expected them to be that cool, where you could have max level characters and level 18s, and everybody's kind of doing stuff together. I thought that was a big moment in World of Warcraft history. But, so I'm real excited about allied races. So I'm going to be honest with you, I think every other question here is about allied races because the hype is so real. Obviously, at the time that this is going live, allied races will be available to players, and everybody wants to know, what exactly do you need to do to unlock and start actually playing your allied races?
So one of the things we wanted to do with allied races, we wanted them to feel special and unique. So we wanted it to feel meaningful when you unlock them, just like any other rare mount or piece of gear. So that's why one of the requirements is you need to earn Exalted with the faction that you want to unlock. The next thing that requirement would be doing their questline, campaign questline.
Their recruitment scenario or questline, yeah.
And then after that, you do the recruitment scenario. So once you have those two achievements, then you can do the recruitment scenario and unlock the allied race.
So another question I keep seeing, like, floating around is, are allied races faction specific as far as the requirements? So if on a Horde character, I go and do everything I need to do to unlock Void Elves, will I be able to go play Alliance and be a Void Elf, or do I have to get those achievements on an Alliance character?
So the answer to that is you don't have to get the achievement on an Alliance character, but you do have to have a 110 Alliance character to be able to participate in that level 110 scenario.
Okay.
So luckily, when you pre-purchase, you do get a level 110 boost. So if you don't already have a level 110 Alliance, then you could use your boost there.
All right, that's fair. So how will the first 4 allied races, which tie very heavily into Legion lore, fit into the Battle for Azeroth story?
So, like you pointed out, they're actually fairly closely tied with the Legion story, and so they'll be present. I mean, you're going to see lots of Void Elves and Nightborn and High Mountain Torn and Lightforged there in the storyline because we're going to be playing as them. Their storyline as a faction will probably be not as big as it was in Legion, just because the storyline of Battle for Azeroth is about going to Zandalar, going to Kul Tiras, and kind of discovering some of the cultures there. So they'll be there. They're part of the Horde and the Alliance now. But it will probably not be, they're not going to have reputations to work on like we do here in Legion.
Sure. So since they are so closely tied into Legion stuff, like in the future, like when Battle for Azeroth is fully launched, are people still going to have to go back like as a new player and play through that Legion content and grind out those Legion reputations and in order to unlock allied races? Or is that something that's always going to be like, nope, you need to unlock the reputation, which I understand. It's been something I've been seeing people asking.
So right now, the current plan is to have them. You'll still need to unlock it. Mm-hmm. That's not saying that we won't change that in the future, but right now that is the requirement, yes.
Yeah, that's fair. So will the 6 additional character slots that you're getting for Battle for Azeroth become available with pre-order when you're allowed to play allied races?
So actually 4 of them will be available when you pre-order. The other 2 will unlock when the other allied races unlock.
So are those character slots locked to allied races, or can you use them for whatever you want?
You can use them for whatever you want.
Okay.
We haven't put any restrictions on those slots.
So moving on to really important, hard-hitting questions. Will the allied race mounts be locked to that allied race, or will they be usable account-wide or within your faction?
So they'll actually be usable within your faction. Once you complete the recruitment quest line, you actually get them out. So you don't even have to make a Void Elf if you don't want to. Your character that completes the recruitment line gets them out.
Okay.
And you can use it throughout the whole faction.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, we wanted to be really kind of inclusive with those. I think even if you choose to transfer a character from one account to another, and that character happens to have that Void Elf mount unlocked, even if they're not the Void Elf, you'll still get that Void Elf on the second account.
Oh,
the Void Elf mount on the second account. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, the next 2 questions are a little, I just need to know. They're not super relevant to this situation, but I need to know. So is it weird to you that High Mountain Tauren can both become a moose and then they ride a moose as their mount?
I think that personally to me it's not weird. We've been promising mooses for a long time, and so I think we were a little backed up on mooses, and they all came out in this one expansion. So personally, I'm a fan. I don't know if it bothers you at all, Shanee.
No, the moose is on the loose now.
Yes.
So another
Right.
question regarding mooses, because clearly I have an issue, is why is it that some moose can fly and some moose are not able to fly?
So that's actually a secret that's really heavily guarded by the moose.
Oh, yeah,
the moose
okay.
that can fly. But legend has it that they were blessed by the great Messiah, and that's why they're able to fly.
Wow, you just won the arena. Well done for that. And also, this just seems like a good time to mention it. I bring it up in every interview I do with anybody from WoW. There's still no ducks in World of Warcraft. It's very strange. I don't understand why. I just needed to get that out.
We really don't have any ducks.
No
don't have
ducks.
any
The
ducks.
only duck is the rubber duck bobber, which is even more bizarre to me because that means that the characters in WoW are aware that ducks exist, just not in their universe. So was there like a duck genocide? What happened to the ducks? Hashtag Duckgate.
Yeah, it could be like a stealth thing where like the ducks are there, but we can't see them yet.
Oh, like the invisible bunnies that you use for mechanics?
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of, talking about allied race recruitment lines. There could be like a recruitment duck storyline somewhere in the future. Yeah.
Oh, I would be very pleased by that. So moving on to actual important things. I'm sorry, I got really off track there for a second. But, so how was race and class combo as far as allied races decided? Because right now it definitely seems a little like Horde get some things, Alliance get other things. How did you decide what classes could be which races?
It was entirely based on what we thought made sense for the story, what made sense for those races. Not entirely. We wanted to make sure that it was fair, that we weren't giving the Horde 10 classes and the Alliance 2 or something like that. But within reason, it does end up shaking out that maybe Horde gets some classes that the Alliance don't. It is not to say that in the future, like we have in the past, some races got access to classes that they didn't have in the past. We unleashed undead hunters and night elf mages and things like that. So if the story changes to the point where it makes sense to have a new race class combo, we'll consider that in the future. But it was really just looking at the Nightborn. What can the Nightborn do? Looking at the Lightforged. What can the Lightforged do? That's really where that comes from.
So was it intentional that Horde got the only shaman and Alliance got the only paladin with the whole battle for Azeroth? Was that like a throwback or a coincidence?
It probably lands somewhere in between, right? Or like when we looked at that matrix of races and classes, it was like, oh, look, like that makes sense for shaman to land here and paladins to land here. There is some cool throwback there, right? That's how things used to be. You had that jealousy as a Horde player.
Well, I play a
they got
Horde.
paladins.
No. I
And vice
main a
versa.
Horde shaman. Nobody is jealous of your light paladins. No one cares. Let me be clear. But yeah, it just as a player, I was so excited to hear about like what Nightborn Druid forms would look like because you hear Night Elves, Druids. That's like their most iconic thing. So a lot of people think it's a little strange that like Nightborn can't be Druid and Lightforged Draenei can't be Shaman, stuff like that. But you did say there is a possibility that in the future those things may be revisited.
Right. Yeah. Like there was no druidic magic being practiced in Suramar for the thousands of years that they were under the bubble. But I gave the example of the Night Elves with mages before. Night Elves didn't practice magic until we discovered the Night Elves that were practicing magic in Dire Maul in the storyline of Cataclysm. And then they had their own little quest line where they kind of became ingratiated to the Alliance at Teldrassil, and that became a thing that happened. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Who knows? I'm excited about it, though. Are allied races going to have any unique animations, or do they share animations with their, like, grandpa race? I don't really know what to call it.
That's correct. Grandpa race is correct.
Grandpa race is the correct term, yeah. Currently they don't have unique animations, but there is some talk about possibly getting some unique dance animations for them. But they do have unique voice lines, unique /silly/flirt.
Oh, they're great. They're really good,
stuff.
too. My favorite one, I think, comes from Nightborn, and it says, I drink arc wine, and I know things. That's just what I do.
Yeah, that one is great.
That was a really good one. I like that a lot. So with all the new customization features that are coming out for allied races, like tattoos and runes and stuff like that, has there been any plans to add more details like that to existing races?
We definitely want to do that. We always talk about updating the existing races, but specifically for Battle for Azeroth, we wanted to put all of that effort into allied races and making them as cool as possible. So that's kind of where that art effort went for Battle.
For sure. Will there be other allied races in the future other than Dark Iron Dwarves or Zandalari Troll?
I think it would be weird if there wasn't, right? We really want to. The storyline of Battle for Azeroth is about, among other things, recruiting people to join your side. So, so beyond the four that we're having here with being unlocked with pre-purchase, and then the Zandalari and the Dark Irons, there's still a lot more story that will happen in the future for Battle for Azeroth, and so that could for sure involve maybe some more allied races. Who knows?
Oh, that was a good answer. I like that a lot. I was expecting to be like, I don't know, maybe in the future sometime, but I liked that way better. If you do go ahead and in the future add more allied races, do you think it would be in consideration to add allied races that were kind of in the same family as ones that already exist? So like, I love the Tonka, I really like them, and like the Yagul, is that what they're called? Yangul, the weird bison guys. Like, I love that kind of stuff. Is that something where it's like, no, you got High Mountain Tauren, be happy with your moose guys?
No restrictions on that, and those are both allied races that we've talked about. So possibly, maybe.
Yay. So why is it that some allied races have a ton of heritage armor tints and others only have like one or two?
So the artists that were making those heritage armor sets, they were really excited and pumped about them and ended up making extra color variants.
They got a little carried
away. So those are currently NPC only. That's not saying we won't find a way to somehow reward them to players, but right now it's NPC only for those extra variants.
Okay. I asked that question about the mounts, the class mounts that were coming out, and that was the exact same answer. Is, well, some of them have more because our artists got really excited.
They do. They get really excited. They're used to making a lot of color variations, and they just get carried away.
That's amazing. So at BlizzCon, we heard rumors that Dark Iron Dwarves may be able to be Death Knights in the future since it kind of lines up with their lore. Do you guys have any more details on that or plans for that?
No more details than exactly what we said at BlizzCon, which is, yeah, maybe. But those are, the Dark Iron Dwarves are still a little bit off in the horizon, so we'll still have to wait for that.
So another question I had was regarding demon hunters. Would there ever, like, have you guys considered like Nightborn or Void Elf to be demon hunters, or is there a possibility that in the future, because their lore is sort of already set, like they were 10,000 years and whatnot. So is there a way that you could add that functionality in, or would that screw up the story too much?
I don't think it would screw up the story. It's definitely a possibility. It's something we've talked about, just like we've opened other classes and other expansions. So we're not ruling out that they could be demon hunters.
Yeah, we'd have to find a way to make the timelines work, but
come back to yes. He's got runes all over him. They're glowing. They're not green.
Yeah.
It's very confusing, but I wanted to give you guys an opportunity. If you had a piece of advice or one thing that you want players to know, go ahead and let them know that thing now, and then I will give you back to your busy lives.
Sure. So go ahead.
For allied races, the recruitment quest lines are really interesting, and I just want to suggest that everybody do them, even if they don't want to do an allied race. Specifically because you get to find out why each race chose the side that they did, and you also get to find out other cool little tidbits, like how exactly do you become a Lightforged Straight Eye? Do you just say you want to be in the Army of the Light? And the answer is no, there's a process to that. So there's lots of little lore bits that you get from doing those unlock recruitment quest lines. So I would suggest that everybody take a look at those.
Yeah. I have a fun story of development for level scaling. Those of you who haven't tried rolling a new character since patch 7.35 came out, and we're wondering, well, what's involved in level scaling? Is it just the monsters change level? Because that's not exciting enough for me. So when we were talking about what we were going to do with level scaling in internal meetings, my team was talking to the systems team and saying, this is what we were doing. We said, okay, we're going to scale all the creatures, and everybody was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And we said, also, while we're in there, we're going to change all the quest achievements to be storyline based instead of just complete 100 quests in Icecrown.
It's like and then I
got like standing ovations, like, yeah, finally, we're going to change those achievements. So that's something to look forward to as well. As you level through, you'll have those complete these following storylines within Sholazar Basin, as opposed to just complete 55 quests within Sholazar Basin, and then those little micro toasts that happen along the way of like, oh, cool, I completed the Gorlock storyline. So something to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited about that. I have I'm starting up streaming again next week, and one of the launch plans that I had was to go through and have a character that I'm working on Lore Master the new way from level 1 only on stream. So I personally am very excited about that achievement change, if nothing else, but Thank you guys so much. Everybody's
no
very
problem.
excited. I can't wait to play Allied Races. But yeah, thank you again for taking the time out of your day to come and chat with me. I really, really appreciate it, and I will let you guys get back to your busy lives. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much again to Shanee and Paul for taking time out of your very busy day to talk to us about Allied Races and level scaling. We really, really appreciate it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to rate it thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'm going to go. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I love you all. You're in my hearts. I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.